Good evening. We will now call the business session of May 19, 2020 to order at 6 p.m. On March 16, 2020, the governor suspended various provisions of the Open Meeting Act pursuant to his state of disaster authority. The change was effective March 16, 2020 until further notice or until the state of disaster declaration expires. In accordance with distancing guidelines and while providing as much transparency as possible, this Waco City Council meeting will not be open to the public. The meeting is being broadcast live at wccc.tv. The audio is also being recorded and video and audio recordings will be available to the public. According to the governor and attorney general, statutes that may require face-to-face interaction between members of the public and public officials are suspended, provided, however, that the governmental body offers alternative methods of communication with its public officials. This includes public comments on agenda items. In an effort to allow for as much public input as possible, those who wish to submit their written comments on a listed agenda item were asked to submit their comments to the City Secretary office by 1 p.m. today. Assistant City Secretary Liz Carraway will read into the record the comments submitted for items on the agenda at the appropriate time. Individuals who registered to speak on a public hearing item will be allowed to speak via conference phone. We received several registrations for comments on the public hearings. When the registered speaker is acknowledged, he or she must limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation service. Now, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now consider the minutes of the May 5th, 2020 and May 7th, 2020 meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? Seeing none, those will stand approved. We will take Resolution 2020-343 first this evening. This was an item that was added by an addendum to the agenda, and it is to consider a resolution consenting to the continuation of the declaration of local disaster and public health emergency issued on March 17, 2020, and amended on March 19, 2020 and March 23, 2020 by Mayor Kyle Deaver, and as ordered by the City Council of the City of Waco, Texas on March 24, 2020, and as extended on March 31, 2020 and April 14, 2020, and as modified on April 21, 2020, April 28, 2020, and May 7, 2020, the city order, as may be amended by the City Council of the City of Waco, Texas, and modifying the city order in compliance with the order of Texas Governor Greg Abbott for a phased reopening of businesses. Is there a motion on that item?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Liz, please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
yes,
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. We have 23 public hearings tonight. Clint Peters will lead us through those. Clint, if you'll take over from here.
Yes, sir.
Versus 2020-304, I'm sorry.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the following subdivision plats. Final plat and construction plans for the Landreth Garden PUD Phase 1 and final plat of the South Fork Addition Phase 11. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended that the subdivision plats be approved.
Okay. Are there any questions for staff? We'll open the public hearing. Liz, I understand we have Nate Landreth on the line. Mr. Landreth, are you there?
I don't believe. Oh, we do.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Just here for any questions if y'all have any.
Any questions for Mr. Landreth?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here, Mr. Landreth. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
yes,
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-305.
Mayor, before we start this case, public hearings 305 through 308 and 310 are all special permits with the same recommendation of approval. and findings. So I'd like to bring those findings into record first. That the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area which is located, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics of any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of special exception, and that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to the proposed use are adequate for the proposed use. So for public hearing 305, this is to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Maureen and Jacquees Amo for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 4, Block 1 of the Howardale Edition known as 937 Longfellow Drive. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the findings that I read in the record that are required per section 28.122 of the zoning ordinance.
Okay. Are there any questions for staff?
No.
Hey, Clint, I just have a quick question. I was looking at the information for this public hearing. It's a 4-bedroom, correct?
Yes, sir. 4-bedroom.
We're on mute.
Clint, sorry.
Yes, it's a 4-bedroom home.
And the driveway is big enough for the 4 vehicles?
Yes, that it's 18 feet wide by 37 feet deep, which meets our standard for 4 vehicles. Plus, it has a 2-car garage.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any further questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments, and I understand that we do have a speaker. Is Pam Whitworth on the line?
Pam?
Yes.
Okay, Pam, you'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I am representing the Amos for their property management on Waco Vacation Rentals, and they do live in Hawaii, but we are local, have an office here in Waco, and we will be taking the reservations, handling the guest relations, and handling the maintenance on the house. So we have been retained to handle everything for them, and we have been doing this since 2012. I own some short-term rentals myself, and then we do manage for other people. So we will be on the ground here to take care of any concerns with the property.
Okay, do any of you have any questions for Ms. Whitworth?
No.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whitworth. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We'll close the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Full council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabito?
Yes.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Seaver?
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-306.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Wayne and Sabrina Watlington for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as lots 14 and 15, Block 2, the McNeese Heights edition known as 3612 Fort Avenue. By a vote of 8-2, the Plan Commission recommended approval of request based on the findings required for granting a special permit per section 28.122 of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, are there any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing for comments. I believe we have 3 callers. In this case, where we have the applicant proponent, she will go first, and then be followed by the 2 opponents, and then the applicant will have a chance to rebut. So, Ms. Watlington, are you on the line?
Hi there. Yes, I'm Sabrina Watlington. I'm
Okay.
My husband and I are owners of the property at 3612 Fort, and we live here locally, so we're looking forward to being boots on the ground, managing it. We also have a back to this trilogy. One of my good friends that owns it, and they would be a backup if we had to go out of town as far as managing the property.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
No, I mean, I just wanted to be on here for any questions that you might have about it. And we're totally redoing the property and seem to have most of the neighbors seem to be very excited about it. So that's it. We're very excited about it, hopefully.
Okay, thank you. If you'll stay on the line, you'll have a chance for a brief rebuttal after the other two people speak. Juliana Panucci. Hope I didn't say that wrong. Juliana, are you on the line?
She's not on the line, Mayor.
Okay, Elizabeth Willingham, are you on the line?
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and if council, I believe you all should have received an email from Esmeralda a few minutes ago with 3 photos that Ms. Willingham sent in. You might check, see if you can see that. Ms. Willingham, you'll have 3 minutes, please.
You can begin, Elizabeth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm asking that the council deny this application seeking to turn 3612 Ford into a mini motel with an absent owner. 3612 Ford sits at the heart of 3600 Ford Avenue, a principal residential street in the well-established older part of Brookview Hills. Ford and Hubby Avenues are the outermost fully residential neighborhood on the southeast border of Brookview. We're the neighborhood buffer for commercial and multifamily zones along Waco Drive and Valley Mills. We don't feel called to tolerate a mini motel as well. Between 3600 and 3612 Ford, there is no 3602, 06, 08, or 10. A low WPA era rubble wall a few inches wide with one concrete step onto my property attached to the wall is all that separates 3600 from 3612 along the entire property line. Our main doors and driveways are with feet and inches of each other respectively. A similarly low-walled bed separates 3612 and 3614. Along the closed alley between Ford and Hubby, our homes are situated generally without fencing, perhaps in deference to flooding potential, so that those residents too will be affected by unusual activity, disturbance, and nuisances at 3612 Ford. The alley occasionally draws as a lawbreaker or a mischief maker. The purpose and value of R1B zoning is at the heart of this debate, and I have submit that both the conduct of a commercial enterprise and what is going on in a mini motel when it is occupied by paying parties are not residential functions that one associates with an R1B neighborhood. Commercial distinctions aim to cluster commerce by zones to give quiet, stability, and security to residential neighborhoods, to also buffer them from excessive vehicular and foot traffic, from the comings and goings of unknown persons, and from nuisances like noise, trash, and other functions attendant on business operations. Residential neighborhoods are centers of peace and quiet, that domestic tranquility to which we are inalienably entitled. R1B zoning also differentiates taxing values between commercial and residential property. Inserting commercial property into residential neighborhoods therefore threatens to conflate residential values with commercial values. This conflation can exercise a powerfully destabilizing and disruptive effect on residents with incremental and cumulative raises in taxes. In our case, undermining the affordable nature of housing in our neighborhood for potential buyers, and perhaps soon taxing present residents out of their homes. So there is no time here to reiterate the list. None of the things asserted by the Plan Commission is in place at this address, in this location, in my opinion. In fact, this rezoning meets no local need. Waco does not need more hotel rooms. Even at the top of its game, our occupancy rate was about 85%. And for the foreseeable future, demand is likely to be down. I ask that the mayor and council members vote no on this application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms.
for your
Willingham.
deliberations and service, and for the.
Thank you very much, Ms. Willingham. That's all the speakers we have. Ms. Watlington, you have an opportunity for a rebuttal. Ms. Watlington, are you still on the line?
Sabrina?
Unmute. Sorry, I was muted. Well, I guess the first thing I would like to say is that our idea in having this short-term property was not to rent to, a bunch of people that are, having parties and making a lot of noise. That is not our intent. It's more to the people that are looking for property, visiting Magnolia, lots of maybe groups of ladies that are looking for a nice place to stay. This property had not been maintained in a while. It needed updating. We're going to put an 8-foot privacy fence around the back of it, so there will be no disturbance. It will be very secure. I feel like we're bringing value to the neighborhood because we're totally updating everything on this house. We'll have nice lighting. It will be a safe place for people to stay. But like I said, we're very hands-on. I drive by this property. I'm there every day checking on it, looking at it. It's not going to be something that we're just going to let people run amok. That is not our intention. The other neighbors in the neighborhood that we've spoken to are very excited about. In fact, they said they would be willing to even, they'll keep an eye out on the property and make sure everything looks good if we are not there. So, I really don't, I don't think we're going to raise the property values. I mean, we bought it, but we're not making it where the property value is above anything else in the neighborhood. So I'm not really sure what else I can say other than, we have friends that do this and we understand what they go through, what the type of people that are typically booking. And, that's what we're looking at, to have a really nice place that can book on Airbnb without, in a quiet neighborhood, that people that will be quiet and not cause disturbances.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Watlington? All right, thank you for appearing here today, Ms. Watlington. I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval of the permit.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll just have one quick question back to Clint, just to make sure between now, this afternoon and now, it hasn't broken the 20% minimum, 200-foot supermajority.
That's correct. That's correct. We got 2 responses back in opposition, which equaled 14.6%.
Okay, thank you. It's my only question, Mayor.
Any other discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-307.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Salem Properties, LLC, Series 1201 LaPorte, for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning on property described as Lot 12, Block 24, Parkdale Edition, and as 1201 LaPorte Drive. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the findings required for granting a special permit per Section 28.122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right, any questions for staff? I will open a public hearing for comments. I understand Alan Lawrence is on the line. Mr. Lawrence?
Yes. Kennard?
Yes.
Sabito?
Yes.
Fairfield? Yes.
What is it?
He's watching the video and there's a delay.
Okay,
Are you
okay.
there, Mr. Lawrence?
Granted special permit to Salem Property. There we go. Series 1201 for
Mr. Lawrence?
Mr. Lawrence, you need to turn your audio down if you can, please, so that we can hear you.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, if you've got 3 minutes if you'd like to address the council.
I'm just here for any questions that they may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lawrence? All right, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for being here. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Aye.
Meek,
Yes. Yes.
Sabito,
This time, yes. Sorry.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-309.
We're on 308.
308, I'm sorry.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Donna Lucena for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 6, Block 2 of the Zachary Lewis addition known as 3920 Windsor Avenue. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the findings required for granting a special permit per section 28.122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right, are there any questions for staff? I will open a public hearing for comments. Liz, I understand we don't have any comments on this item.
Correct.
All right, and we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-309.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Lisa and Denny Belicia for a short-term rental type 2 in R1B zoning district on property described as Lot 4, Block 5, the Castle Crest addition known as 3829 Herwall Avenue. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended disapproval of the request based on the following finding: that the proposed use is not compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. Pursuant to state law and the zoning ordinance, a 3/4 vote of all members of the City Council is required to approve any application that either fails to receive a favorable report and recommendation from the Plan Commission or for which a protest is filed with the Commissioner or City Council. The protest received must be signed by the owners that own more than 20% of more of either the area described in the application or own lots of or land immediately adjoining the area and extends 200 feet from such area of the subject application. In this case, the application failed to receive favorable report recommendation from the council, and a protest was received which met the criteria. Therefore, the 3/4 vote is required for approval.
Okay, thank you, Clint. Any questions for staff? All right, I will open a public hearing for comments. I understand that we have one speaker on the line, Lewis McReynolds. Lewis, if you're there, if you
Yes.
could begin, you have 3 minutes, please.
Yes, I just wanted to speak on behalf of Diane Livesay, Suzanne Starr, both of whom live within the adjacent area, and with other residents of Castle Heights who, but for the restrictions that we're all enduring under, would be there in support of those of us who wish to keep Castle Heights clear of the commercial Airbnbs. I just want to make note that you do see in your packet there are 8 cards from the adjacent landowners within the 200-foot radius, all of whom were unopposed, and I believe you should also have a copy of a petition signed by even more of the, I believe 10 or 11 of the property owners that are within the zone, all in unanimous opposition to this, and wish that you do take into consideration the importance of the wishes of the adjacent neighbors in declining this special permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. We don't have any other speakers, so we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for disapproval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-310.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to All Sugared Up LLC for a retail bakery in 03 zoning district on property described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Daily Edition, located at the northeast corner of North 19th Street and Rock Creek Road and adjacent to 6417 North 19th Street. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the findings required for granting a special permit per section 28.122 of the zoning ordinance.
All right, are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comment. Liz, I understand that there are no registered speakers for this item.
That's correct.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move for
Motion for
approval.
Approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-311.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the final plan unit development plan for the PUD property described as 4.69 acres of land in the James M. Comrade Survey, abstract number 224, McLennan County, Texas, and being a 4.220 acre out of called 8 acres, described in a deed to Chapel Land Holdings LLC, of record as instrument 2019-03-1343 in the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, and a 0.5 acre of a called 28.616 acres described in deed to Chapel Land Holdings LLC, of record as instrument 2019-03-0914 in the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the final PUD plan based on the following findings and conditions. The final PUD plan is consistent with the approved concept PUD plan, conditions of the approved concept PUD plan, and requirement of the PUD ordinance. The circulation plan, public facilities and service plan, preliminary architectural plan, and site development and landscaping plan included in the final PUD are adequate. We do have 2 conditions. At time of development, full building plans must be submitted meeting all City of Waco development requirements, including but not limited to the following: applicable building codes, site grading and drainage, parking, signage, vehicle, pedestrian access and circulation, landscaping, refuse location and access, and fire protection location and access. Building permits will not be issued until full compliance with all development standards of the City of Waco and approved PUD plans. And 2, that the property must be platted meeting all requirements of the PUD and subdivision ordinance before the issuance of building permits.
All right, very good. Thank you, Clint. Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is Nate Landreth back on the line with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Just want to be here for any questions and have a little celebration that we finally made it here. I think I've had 2 kids since we started this process, so I'm ready to get going.
Congratulations on that. Are there any questions from Mr. Landreth?
I'll just comment. This is Holmes here. That I appreciate you, Mr. Landreth, because I know there was some controversy on how this development kind of got started, and you incorporated the concerns of your neighbors, and I think that's what we like to see. We like to see people working together, and I applaud you on making this something that the neighborhood and the city can be proud of. Look forward to finishing up the development there.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
I hope some of those neighbors might be purchasing a lot, so we'll see.
Very good. All right. Anything further from Mr. Landreth? Thank you, Mr. Landreth. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-312.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amending section 28-624 in the chapter 28 zoning of Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to allow automobile servicing establishments as special use in C2 Community Commercial Zoning District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a servability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for penalties, and finding a term at the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the ordinance amendment as proposed.
All right. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Liz, there are no speakers here, correct?
We do have a speaker, Mike.
That's right. I'm sorry. That's the one that Esmeralda emailed me about. All right, Mr. Ash, if you're on the line, would you like to speak on this item?
I am, but I don't want to speak on this item. I apologize. I should be speaking on item 313. I used the wrong number in reference when I spoke with the city secretary. I apologize.
Okay, well, just stay on the line with us and we'll do that one next. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion on this item?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-313.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed at certain properties described as Lot 2, Block 48, Ross subdivision, Lot 3A, Block 48, Ross subdivision, Lot 3B, Block 48, Ross subdivision, known as 714, 716, and 718 South 11th Street, shall be changed from C3 district classification, become and be designated in O2 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding determined at the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommend approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for greater downtown. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O2 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for O2 zoning. And 4, there is O2 zoning adjacent to the subject properties.
Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Mr. Ash, if you'd like to speak on this item.
Yeah, good evening.
No.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all again. I apologize for the confusion. I'm just here to represent JES Devco, the applicant for the rezoning, and answer any questions you have any.
Any questions for Mr. Ash?
I don't have any questions for Mr. Ash, but I just wanted to say that it's been, I just want to thank him, Mike, for all of your time and dedication to coming down and meeting with me. And I'm glad that this is finally on the agenda. And I know you've been working very hard, so I appreciate all of your work and all of the work that your client is doing to bring some more affordable housing to our community. And so I really do appreciate that. And so just want to say thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that.
Okay, if there aren't any further questions for Mr. Ash, I also have Zachary Garrick listed here. Is Mr. Garrick on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Just wanted to say I'm definitely for what Mr. Ash wants to do with the property, and definitely need more residential units in the area. We already have plenty of commercial units, a lot of them that are vacant, including one of mine that are renovated, a building I renovated down on 11th Street. And but for what he has to propose to bring into the area with residential units, I'm strongly in favor and support of rezoning it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garrick. Any questions for Mr. Garrick? Not, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
We have a second? Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
That motion carries. Public hearing 2020-314.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain properties described as lots 13 and 14, Block 29 of Glenwood Edition, known as 2324 and 2326 Washington Avenue, shall be changed from C2 district classification, become and be designated to O3 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for greater downtown. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O3 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for O3. 4, there is O3 zoning near the subject property. And 5, the O3 zoning brings the existing residential uses into conformance with the zoning ordinance.
All right, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I understand there are no registered speakers for this item, Liz.
That is correct.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council. Liz, please poll the council.
Is this the one that Councilmember Meek filed an affidavit of?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay.
Thank you for.
Yes, sir. So Councilmember Meek has filed an affidavit of substantial interest on this item. I'll poll the council. Holmes,
Aye.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Bearfield,
Yes.
and Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-315.
Honorable members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the city of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the city of Waco be amended by revising section 28-247 and chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 11E, block F, farm lot 31, known as 2011 Washington Avenue, shall be changed from C2 district classification and be designated in the O2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for greater downtown. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in O2 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for O2. And 4, there's O2 zoning adjacent to the subject property.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? We will open a public hearing for comments. Liz, are there any registered speakers on this item?
No, they're not.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll go to public hearing 2020-316.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the city of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex, and that the Code of Ordinances of the city of Waco be amended by revising section 28-247 and chapter 28 zoning of said code, and that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 4B and 4E, Block A of the Gurley DR Tract Addition, known as 2428 South 3rd Street, shall be changed from R1B to O2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determine that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, the Plan Commission recommended disapproval of the land use designation change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed land use could be considered incompatible with the existing medium-density residential land use designations adjacent to the subject property. And 2, the existing infrastructure and streets are designed to support the densities allowed in the medium-density residential office flex land use designation. Plan Commission also recommended disapproval of zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is not in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the College and University Neighborhoods District. 2, the proposed O2 zoning is not compatible with the existing single-family residential that surrounds it. 3, there is an adequate supply of underutilized and vacant land currently zoned for multifamily residential uses located in the area to support the appropriate growth and development of the surrounding area. And 4, the proposed zoning would allow for increased density that could have a negative impact on infrastructure for the surrounding area. Pursuant to state law and the zoning ordinance, because the application failed to receive a favorable recommendation by the Plan Commission, approval of this request will require a 3/4 vote of the City Council.
Thank you, Clint. Are there any questions for staff? All right, we'll open a public hearing. Liz, is there anyone registered to speak on this item?
No, there's not.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion to deny request.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-317.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the city of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from urban residential to mixed-use flex, and that the Code of Ordinances of the city of Waco be amended by revising section 28-247 and chapter 28 zoning of said code, and that zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as Lot 2, Block 1 of the James R. Kersey Edition, known as 3212 South 4th Street, shall be changed from R1B to O2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended disapproval of the land use designation change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed land use could be considered incompatible with the existing urban residential land use designations adjacent to the subject properties. 2, the existing infrastructure and streets are designed to support the densities allowed in urban residential land use designation. Plan Commission also recommended disapproval of the zone change request based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is not in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the college and university neighborhood district. 2, the proposed O2 zoning is not compatible with the existing single-family residents that surround it. 3, there is adequate supply of underutilized and vacant land currently zoned for multifamily residential uses located in the area to support the appropriate growth and development of the surrounding area. And 4, the proposed zoning would allow for increased density that could have a negative impact on infrastructure for the surrounding area. Also for this one, pursuant to state law and zoning ordinance, because the application failed to receive a favorable recommendation by Plan Commission, a 3/4 vote is required by City Council.
For approval, right?
Yep.
Okay, any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing for comments. I understand that we have a speaker on the line, Nancy Severin. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'd just like to say I have a property within 200 feet of this possible zoning change, and it is not compatible with the neighborhood. It's a rural area. I'm concerned what it would do to parking, lighting, traffic, drainage, noise, the intensity of use, and it's not compatible with the Baylor overlay district. So I am opposed to this.
Okay,
I'm also
thank you. Are there
concerned what it would
questions?
do to my property value.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from Ms. Severin? All right, thank you for appearing here tonight, Ms. Severin. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion to deny request.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-318.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 828 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed at certain property described as Lot 25, C26A, Block 1 of the J.I. Moore Edition, known as 1811 Webster Avenue, shall be changed from M3 district classification and become and be designated in the C2 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finally determining that the meeting at which the ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change request based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in C2. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for C2 zoning. And 4, C2 zoning is consistent with the transition occurring along Webster Avenue from industrial uses to commercial uses.
All right, thank you, Clint. Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. Liz, I understand we don't have any speakers registered for this one.
That's correct.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-319.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed at certain property described as lots 24B and 24C, Block 55 of the Ross subdivision known as the 922 Cleveland Avenue shall be changed from O2 district classification and be designated into C2 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding determinant the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for C2 zoning. 4, there is C2 zoning adjacent to the subject property, and 5, C2 zoning is a dominant zoning between Cleveland Avenue and Interstate 35.
All right, thank you, Clint. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I understand that there are no registered speakers for this public hearing, correct?
That is correct.
Close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-320.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so a certain property described as Lot A1, Block 11 of the Waco Improvement Company block known as 1900 North 17th Street shall be changed from C2 district classification and become and be designated in the R2 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 9-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the request based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate for the proposed uses allowed in R2 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for R2 zoning. And 4, there's R2 zoning near the subject property.
All right, any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. We don't have any speakers for this one, do we, Liz?
No, we do not.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-321.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots G, B, F, E, and 13, Block A, the Farm Lot 10 Edition, known as 300, 316, and 314 South 8th Street, and 701 and a half and 621 Jackson Avenue shall be changed from M2 and C5 district classification and become and be designated in the C4 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the zone change based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco plan for Greater Downtown. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in C4 zoning. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for C4 zoning. And 4, there's C4 zoning adjacent to the subject properties.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Liz, we don't have any speakers, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-322.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance abandoning a .137 acre alley located between Mary Avenue and Jackson Avenue from South 6th Street to 297 feet of the abandoned South 7th Street, described as being a .137 acre tract of land situated in the T.J. Chambers Survey, abstract number 7, McLennan County, Texas, being all of that called 20-foot wide alley separating lots 1 through 6 from lots 7 through 12 of Block A of the Wynn addition to the City of Waco as recorded in Volume T, page 552 of the City of Waco deed records of McLennan County, Texas. In authorizing the city manager to execute a quitclaim deed, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment based on the following findings and condition. Public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. Utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. and that the abandonment of the alley provides better development opportunities for adjacent properties. One condition is that general utility and drainage easement must be retained for the area of the abandoned alley, or all public utilities must be relocated.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. I understand we have no speakers for this.
That's correct.
We'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion
Move
for
for-
approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-323.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance abandoning a .1607 acre utility and drainage easement located between Mary Avenue and Jackson Avenue from South 2nd Street to South 3rd Street, described as a .1607 of 1 acres or 7,000 square feet of land situated in the T.J. Chambers Survey, abstract number 7, City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of that certain Lot 1, Block 1 of the Krishna Lone Star LLC edition. A subdivision is shown on a map or plat recorded under plat number 2018 029-624 of the plat records in McLennan County, Texas, and authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds for providing a severability clause and finding determining that meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of abandonment based on the following findings and condition. Utility access for surrounding properties not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the easement, and the abandonment provides better development opportunities for the property. And then we have one condition: all utilities must be relocated out of the easement at developer's cost.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I understand we have no speakers for this item, correct?
No, we do not.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-324.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundary limits of the City of Waco, Texas, and the annexation and designation of general industrial as a comprehensive plan land use designation, and the designation of M2 light industrial district zoning of certain territory consisting of a tract of land described as being 64.891 acre tract of land situated in PM Maxwell Survey, abstract number 576, McLennan County, Texas, and being the remainder of a called 1,117.73 acre tract, first tract described in deed of to Waco Industrial Foundation, a corporation of Waco, Texas, as recorded in volume 853, page 407 of deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and being located at the ends of both Mars Drive and Jules Drive, east of the intersection of Texas Central Parkway and Mars Drive, and further described within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdiction, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the City of Waco, Texas, assigning the annexation territory to the City Council District Number 3, establishing City of Waco Precinct 51, which will consist of the annexed territory, directing that the City Precinct District maps be revised to reflect that change, and providing voting locations at any City of Waco vote center, providing that the said territory bears pro rata part of taxes and entitling inhibits to all pro rata parts of taxes and entitling, I'm off a line, to all rights and privileges to acts and laws of the City of Waco, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of the ordinance, providing for penalties therefor, and finding determined that meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public required by law. Plan Commission recommended approval of the annexation, land use designation, and zoning designation by a vote of 10-0.
Okay, thank you, Clint. Any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing. I understand there are no speakers for this item.
That is correct.
All right, close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Public hearing 2020-325.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance providing for the extension of certain boundaries, limits of the city of Waco, Texas, and the annexation and designation of general industrial as the comprehensive plan land use designation, the designation of M2 light industrial district zoning of certain property described as a 93.169 acre tract of land situated in the Benjamin C. Wallace Survey, abstract number 915, W.L. Hasper Survey, abstract number 1119, P.M. Maxwell Survey, abstract number 576, the B.B.B. and C.C.R. Company Survey, abstract number 155, and the Carlos Ocampo Survey, abstract number 32, McLennan County, Texas, being all of the remainder of a called 589.843 acre tract of land as described in deed to Waco Industrial Foundation and recorded as Track 1, Volume 1338, page 485 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and a portion of that called 3.73 acre tract of land described in a quitclaim deed to Waco Industrial Foundation recorded in Volume 1821, page 147 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and all of that called .049 acre tract of land described in a deed to Waco Industrial Foundation as recorded as a tract number 1 in MCC number 2010-01-6406, official public records in McLennan County, Texas, and being located along the north side of Exchange Parkway between Loop 340 and Texas Central Parkway, and further located within Waco's extraterritorial jurisdictions, which said territory lies adjacent to and adjoins the present boundary limits of the city of Waco, Texas, assigning the annexed territory to City Council District 3, establishing the city of Waco Precinct 51, which will consist of annexed territory, directing that the city precinct maps be revised to reflect the change and providing voting locations at any City of Waco vote center, providing that said territory bears pro rata part of taxes entitling inhabitants to all rights and privileges of the City of Waco, and binding inhabitants to act and laws of the City of Waco, adopting a service plan, providing a severability clause, providing for publishing of the ordinance, providing penalties therefore, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval, annexation, land use designation, and zoning of the property.
All right, thank you, Clint. Are there any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing for comments. Liz, do we have any speakers on this one?
No, we do not.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Motion.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabito.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, the motion carries. Public hearing 2020-326.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, changing the street names of Benton Avenue and Garrett Avenue in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, to Caspian Meadow Drive and Pony Run Avenue, respectively, authorizing changing of the city plan to reflect the names, authorizing the changing of the City of Waco maps, providing for new street signs, providing for a severability clause, and finally determining that the meeting in which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 10-0, Plan Commission recommended approval of the street name change.
Okay, questions for staff? I will open a public hearing for comments. Liz, we have no speakers.
That is correct.
All right, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council. Whoop. Discussion?
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Heck.
I was just going to say, I just want to thank Mr. Soto for all of his work that he's doing with this area. This is just some big acres of land here in the heart of South Waco as well that he's redeveloping and making homes for people to live in South Waco. And so I just really want to thank him and all of the work. And I know that he and I have been in conversations about this project, and I'm glad that it's we're moving forward with this. So I just want to say thank you to him.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Speedo. Please poll the council.
Holmes.
Aye.
Meek.
Yes.
Kennard.
Yes.
Sabito.
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
And Deaver.
Yes, that concludes our public hearings. Thank you, Mr. Peters. A lot of work. All All right, we have, we'll turn to our resolutions. We received the comment cards for agenda items 2020-335 and 2020-337. We will take them first, and I will ask Liz to read into the record the comments on 335 and 337.
Teresa Porter submitted comments on 335 and 337. I'll begin with 335. I support the proposal to add rooftop solar to this project. The recently released report from the Environmental Defense Fund, Resource Adequacy Challenges in Texas, Unleashing Demand-Side Resources in the ERCOT Competitive Market, shows that demand-side resources such as wind and solar power generated on-site are a cost-effective way to improve our supply of electricity and jobs right here in Central Texas. If you have not read the report yet, she has provided a copy. With the addition of rooftop solar, there would be no reason to even remotely consider piping any kind of dinosaur juice to this facility. I'd also like to mention that this would be a great location to install EVSEs for public use as well as future department use. There are several heavy-duty electric chassis either already in production or will begin production soon. These types are fabricated into fire trucks and other fleet uses. This fire station is being built for the future, and the future is electric. And her comment for 337, I would like to suggest that this would be a great time to install EVSEs at this location, and this would be a great location for level 2 chargers. I, for one, am getting tired of staring at the mayhem in the parking lot of the Belmead Walmart. I can only imagine what sort of impression that gives to travelers who stop at the only public charging station in the county. Charging stations here would give drivers a wonderful opportunity to explore the museum, check in with the tourism folks, and walk along the river. Alan Northcutt has provided comments for both 335 and 337, and I will start with 335. I and the Waco Friends of Peace Climate strongly support the recommendation by the city staff to include add alternate 2 to incorporate a rooftop photovoltaic system on fire station number 6. In fact, for over 2 years, we have recommended solar systems be included in all new city construction in which solar is feasible. This installation is in keeping with the current science, which states we must cut global greenhouse gas emissions 45% by the year 2030. In addition, it is required that these structures be all electric. For example, no natural gas. From the information in the agenda packet, I cannot determine if the plans for these buildings are all electric. If not, we strongly recommend that the city take steps right now to ensure these buildings do not use natural gas. Since we must completely transition to renewable energy by 2050, if gas is included now, the system will have to be removed and replaced by 2050, wasting city funds. Please see attached file from Forbes on banning natural gas. And Alan Northcutt's comments for 337 are as follows. With approval of over $2 million for parking lots for the Ranger Museum, this is the perfect opportunity to provide some electric vehicle charging stations in the lot. Since the museum is an important showcase for Waco, it is an ideal location for Waco to demonstrate it is moving robustly into the 21st century. A couple of level 2 chargers, such as charge point mount type, would cost only around $20,000. This installation would serve tourists and other visitors to the museum, support the recognized future of automotive transportation, electric, incur a reasonable cost, and improve Waco's reputation as forward-thinking. Please strongly consider adding these to the plans. Nothing is gained by delaying the transition to renewable energy. Please see attached charge point pricing. And those are all of the comments we received.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion on resolution 2020-335?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes?
Aye.
Meek?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Sabito?
Yes.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Seaver?
Yes, that motion carries. Is there a motion on resolution 2020-337?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Only just the fact that in the work session was brought out to clarify that we're not spending $2 million just on a parking lot, but there are several street projects that are encompassed within this item.
Thank you for clarifying that. Any further discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabino,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. The consent agenda tonight consists of resolutions 2020-327 through 2020-339, with the exceptions of those that we just passed, 2020-335 and 2020-337. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabino,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. We have three ordinances tonight. First is ordinance 2020-340.
An ordinance amending section 11-2 of Article 1 in general and Chapter 11 Flood Prevention and Protection of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to allow for the use of the most current data available for permitting and construction, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for a penalty, providing for inclusion in the code, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
Move approval
Approval
on
on
reading.
first reading, sorry.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabino,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. Ordinance 2020-341.
An ordinance reappointing Christopher D. Taylor as judge of the Municipal Court of the City of Waco, Texas for a term of 2 years, which shall begin on June 1st, 2020 and shall expire May 31st, 2022. Determining the salary of the municipal judge, appointing qualified persons to serve for the municipal judge during temporary absences, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on May 5th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say I'm grateful to be having the opportunity to continue working with Judge Taylor. I think he's done a wonderful job with our municipal court, and a man that I respect so much. And so I'm just excited that we have the opportunity to continue moving and forward working with him for the next 2 years at least. So just want to say that.
Thank you, Councilmember Savito. Any further discussion? Well, I'll just echo what Hector just said. We're really fortunate in Waco to have a great municipal judge, and most people don't encounter the municipal judge unless they've had a ticket or some other problem. So, you know, if you haven't had a chance to meet the judge and under other circumstances, he certainly approaches justice with the frame of mind that this council wants him to, that is equitable and that is compassionate while he enforces the law, and we're fortunate to have it. So, with that, I will ask to poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabino,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, motion carries. Ordinance 2020-342.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, reestablishing standards of care for City of Waco youth programs, repealing all previous ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on May 5th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes, Holmes,
Aye.
Meek,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabino,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Deaver.
Yes, that motion carries. I'm going to take a moment to go back to an item that was earlier on the agenda in the work session, which is a recognition of employees. First, I want to apologize for my glowing appearance tonight. Obviously got a webcam problem that I can't figure out how to solve. I'll solve it before next time. But today represents Wiley Sims' 44th year working for the city. And this afternoon in executive session, Wiley presented us with his letter of retirement and announced that he will be retiring sometime in July or August of this year. Wiley, you have done a fantastic job leading the city since March of 2018. We are so fortunate to have had you in that role. Having served in all the other roles that you've served in, you certainly understand the city and the way it works in a way that nobody else could have. You've provided great leadership. You've provided strength. You've helped develop leaders within your organization, and we will always be grateful for the time that we had with you serving as city manager. So thank you for your service, and I want to give the opportunity to other council members if they would like to recognize you as well.
I'll jump in here. I mean, again, you kind of given us the heads up some time ago that this was going to happen. It finally is here. But I just appreciate, Wiley, all you've done. We'll have time to be talking about this in the coming months. You're not leaving today or tomorrow. So I appreciate everything you've done. Again, great leadership. Waco's enjoyed probably its most economically bounteous times here in these last few years when you've been at the helm. So congratulations on there. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, and you've built a great team there. You've got a great staff at the city of Waco, and I appreciate everything that you've done, and appreciate your friendship too, Wiley.
Thank you, Jim.
Ditto. Yeah, I just wanted to say, Wiley, as Mayor Deaver and Councilmember Holmes said, you're going to be greatly missed, sir. I know that this is something that you've been wanting to do, and while part of me is sad, but the other part of me is very excited for you and you and your wife. They get to spend your time together. You have served the city well, and you've done it with excellence and integrity. And so I just want to appreciate the work that you have put in over the years. You've seen our city through what I would consider two of our major obstacles, the landfill, and of course now this pandemic. And so we are going to miss you terribly, but thank you so much. And I know you've done a great job in recruiting strong, capable, wonderful leaders. And please know, as I mentioned to you before, and I'll say it publicly, we have you on speed dial. Mm-hmm. So even though you might be retiring, you're not going to get rid of us this evening. But congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you.
I mentioned earlier to you that you and I walk a similar path, in that both our parents set precedent in the city of Waco before. So I honor the legacy that you served your father in this time that you've been here. There have been no predestined roles for you. You did the work that you were charged to do, and we appreciate your dedication to this.
I'll just echo that and say that I appreciate your measured and thoughtful leadership. And pandemic notwithstanding, you are leaving the city in a much better place, and even a better place than you found it. And I appreciate you and what you've been able to do for us, not only these past couple of years, but the past 44.
Thank you.
I'll echo what my co-council members have said more eloquently than I could, but Wiley, you're an excellent leader and a good friend, and have done a great job in serving our city. Waco is blessed to have had you as our leader, as city manager, as the city manager. And I think one of the greatest legacies that you leave is this city's in such a great shape. And I think that we have a great city staff that is ready to carry the torch further and forward. A great council that I believe is going to continue to propel this city into bright days ahead. And I think that so much of that has to do with how you have worked these last several years to get Waco's foundation even stronger for the days ahead. So thank you for your service, and thank you for the leader that you are. and we'll have more times to celebrate you and your legacy in the days ahead.
Well, I want to say I really appreciate y'all's remarks, and it's been a great honor for me to work with the council and work with people in this organization from the front line all the way up to the city manager's office and all the direct reports to the council, our city attorney, Jennifer Ritchie, and Esmeralda and Judge Taylor. But it's been fantastic for me, and I couldn't be happier to have had this opportunity to lead such a great city, and it is a great city, and I think our best days are ahead of us. So I appreciate everything y'all have done for me. It's been an honor to work with you. Thank you for all the kind remarks.
Thank you, Wiley. We appreciate it. Are there any council member reports on committees or boards or commissions liaison visits? All right, in that case, there being no further business, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:15 p.m. Thank you.